I'm Haley, a new mom in her 30s after a long fertility journey, figuring out motherhood one snack break at a time.
And I'm Susanne, navigating fertility after loss in my 40s while raising a teenager and still hoping for one more.
Welcome to Two Truths and a Hormone, the podcast where age gap meets egg counts
And real talk meets real emotion.
We're diving into infertility, womanhood, and everything the brochures forgot to mention. The truth is, it's messy.
The other truth, you're not alone.
And the hormone, well, she's along for the ride. Welcome to another episode of Two Truths and a Hormone. I am your co-host, Haley.
And I am your co-host, Susanne, and we are so excited if you are joining us again. And if you're new, welcome. We have not missed a week of posting, but you and I have not chatted for, I guess, about a week and a half. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I think it's been 2 weeks
Oh my
since
gosh.
we recorded an episode. We've talked, obviously,
Well, yeah, through chat, but
in between that, but yeah, it's been 2 weeks because
How-
we were both on some trips.
Yeah, how was your trip? You went to Colorado with family.
Yeah, we went to Colorado. My sister, brother-in-law, and nephew live in the Denver area. And so we went for a few reasons. We've tried to go before, and I think when we tried to go several years ago, my entire family got COVID. So
I remember that because I
we
think
had
y'all ended up
to-
coming down. That was like your first
Yeah, we
4th of
ended
July
up
down
going
here.
down
Yeah.
Austin because they ended up postponing it until like the next week, and I'm like, well, I've already asked off for this week. Like, I can't change the plans, and so yeah, we ended up going to Austin that time. But we also went to celebrate like my 30th birthday, which was a couple months ago. It was my nephew's birthday, 4th of July, and then like my parents and grandparents came down, so it was really nice. It was really relaxing. We didn't really do much. But like if you go out into their backyard, you can like see the mountains.
Oh, how nice.
And so yeah, it was just really nice. It was hot. I mean, they experience all seasons, and so it was still hot there. But yeah, we went to like a science and nature museum, and that was really fun. Loden didn't really, I don't think, knew what was going on. I thought he would fall asleep in a stroller though, but he was literally awake the entire time we were there. I'm
So
like,
he's picking something up.
nap, I guess.
My favorite
But,
picture was y'all took pictures in the backyard, I guess on the 4th, and there's one of them, and he is just full on like mean
I
mugging.
know,
Like,
I know.
I'm like, this is awesome.
If he doesn't see me, like I feel like anytime like I take a picture of him, like he'll smile. I can get him to smile, but like if it's not like Jake or me taking the picture, he kind of struggles a little
He's
bit.
like, yeah,
so.
I'm not interested.
But he's a pretty happy baby. But yeah, and then we went took him swimming for the first time, so that was fun. And yeah, it was pretty good until about the last day, and then I don't know what happened with Jake. We don't know if it was altitude sickness, because if you like Google it, that usually happens within like the first 24 hours of
yeah.
being there. But it was the end of our trip, and so he was not feeling well. And so we drove halfway to Kansas, there and back. And so when we got to Kansas, I had to drive, which it's typically Jake driving because
Yeah.
he gets motion sickness.
Yeah.
So I had to drive to Kansas, and we ended up taking the urgent care and gave him some nausea meds, so that was not the best way to end the trip. But other than that,
So
it was
funny note of Jake's motion sickness. So Jake and Scott both get motion sickness in the car, and y'all came down. Y'all were down for our wedding and left, and then came back for New Year's. And my car had painted all over it. Just married, and I think we went to an escape room. Do you remember this? And you and I are in the back seat because Scott's driving and Jake has to be in the front seat, and everyone's honking at the sign and then like pulling up and waving, and I'm like, haha, they think y'all two got married.
They're married.
Well, and then he was sick on that trip too. Like, I think that he was sick on that trip. I don't think y'all had a trip in between there, so
yeah, he got COVID, and then I ended up getting COVID after that too. So it's just
no more trips.
But yep, you went to South Padre, right?
Yes, South Padre Island.
Denton. How were your little trips?
Oh, that's right, and Denton too. I forgot about that because I don't think of that as a trip. But yeah, so my mother-in-law and father-in-law. My mother-in-law, her dad was a preacher, so they moved around a lot in when she was growing up, but she finished high school in a little town in Texas. It's called San Saba, and used to like drive to South Padre because it's not too far from there. And so she's like, I want to go to the beach. I want to go to South Padre. We only went for 3 days, so 2 days of driving and then like a day there. It's about 6 hours from here because if you live in like getting through Texas from like the south to the north probably takes a couple days. Yeah.
Really, to get anywhere, it's
And so we were like Central Texas going all the way to the tip. And I grew up in Texas. I've never been to South Padre. And I've always been like, oh, I hate the Texas beaches because I did like Galveston and Port A. And they're not bad, but they're just not the greatest. South Padre, the beach was gorgeous. The sand was soft. There wasn't any seaweed. Like, I will say it's still the Gulf. Like, you're not going to see your feet. So like if I have a choice, I'm like, yeah, take me to Destin. I can see all the way down. But like we talked about, we'll probably go again next year. It was a lot of fun. So we drove up the first day and did the pool. And then the second day we spent probably about 3 or 4 hours at the beach. And then on the way home, stopped in San Saba and drove by like the house she lived in, the church her dad worked in, the high school, all the memory lane type things. And then, came home and we were home. We got home Wednesday, kind of chilled all day Thursday. And then Friday we got up. So my daughter is a freshman in high school. She starts in August as a freshman in high school. But we took her on her first college tour. So we took her to the University of North Texas, UNT in Dallas, and she absolutely loves it. Thought it was really cool. We saw a dorm, we walked around, checked out the library and the bookstore and all that. So we actually go this week on Friday to look at A&M Corpus Christi. No, not A&M Corpus Christi. That's where I graduated. Texas A&M in College Station.
okay.
So I think, she's only seen one for right now. UNT's her number one choice. She did find out she can bring her cat. It has to be registered as an emotional support animal, which I don't even know what that means. And I'm like, she does. The cat is is her support system. Like, that's what calms her down when she's in a moment. So I'm not completely against looking into that. I have my feelings on that. I'm like, but I'm like, I also, Scott's super allergic to this cat, like to cats. You can see my dog jumping on the bed. Sorry.
So like once she's gone, it's like y'all are gonna have to.
Well, and the cat just is locked in her room all the time, and which is fine because she's in there. But I'm like, we can't do that with her in college. Like, that's not fair to the cat. Yeah. We would still be stuck with her freaking snake. So I'm like, that's fine because you'll have to come down at least every 3 weeks to feed this thing.
To feed it.
So there's a built-in way I get to see her. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
How far is it from y'all? Is it just a couple hours?
2 hours, 45 minutes, give or take, depending on traffic. So getting to Denton from us or Dallas or anything, we have to drive through Waco. And when Scott and I first started dating, and even before that, anytime you drove through Waco, I-35, which is the main freeway, was always under construction. And about a couple years ago, we were driving through, so we avoided going to Dallas or Denton. We hated it because it would add so much time to your trip. A couple years ago, we were driving through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all the construction's done. And so every time we would drive through, it was just like they're doing construction again. We got stuck in traffic, and I'm like, why? And it's on the same road that they just finished. I'm like, why? So that was a lot of fun. There was definitely lots of feels. I did not cry, but there were lots of feels in regards to just her leaving and growing up and my fertility journey and her relationship with the potential of a sibling, if that were to happen. And each year it's there's all those things. But yeah, she really enjoyed it. And, I enjoyed getting to do that with her. And I was so appreciative. When I brought it up to Scott, I'm like, you don't have to go. He's like, of course I'm going. We're going to see where, So that was awesome. It's funny because Scott's a music major and UNT is huge for their music. Every building we went into had a piano and this and that. And so he told her, he's like, hey, if we come back, put down that you want to be a music major. I want to tour the music building. I'm like, Scott.
He just wants to go
see.
Himself, he could say that he's
I know. So it was so funny because we were walking through and I was like, oh, I want to go back to college. He's like, no, you don't. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then we were walking, there were college kids on campus and he's like, it's so weird calling them college kids because they're they're adults. And I'm like, no, what's really weird is I look at them and I'm like, I look like a college kid, and I'm
I
like,
look
no,
like
I
you.
don't. But like I do. I
Yeah,
don't feel like I look that
I
much.
didn't have the experience. I didn't like live in a dorm. I went to school like in my hometown,
Yeah.
and so and I did mostly did online, so I didn't get to experience that. Which a lot of times I'm like, man, I missed out on a lot of stuff, a lot of life experiences. But it's
Yeah,
just
I mean,
how it
there's I think
happened.
goods and
So
bads for it. It's funny
yeah.
because when we were leaving, the road we had to leave on was Greek Row, right? Like, so the sorority and fraternity
Oh
houses were
yeah.
there. So I was like, oh, Bella, this is Greek Row. There's sorority. And she's like, what's a sorority? I'm like, oh, okay, I guess you don't know. And I joined a
That
sorority my first year of college.
that's not anything I think she is gonna have
It's
any
not. So I was like
any
explaining it to her, and
part
she's
of.
like, what's the point of that? That's dumb. She's like, why is it called Greek Row? Why is it the Greek alphabet? Is it because Greeks partied? Like, is this just all about party? I was like, and we're done with this conversation. Yeah, she is very just kind of um mind of her own and mature for her age in some ways and very black and white in other ways. And yeah, I don't think she would judge. I think she'd have friends, but I don't think she would be pledging a sorority, which hey, I'm fine with that because I did that my first year and made lots of mistakes. So
There you go.
anyway, enough about me. So this is what, episode 7?
I have no idea.
Let me
Since
look.
we double recorded a couple weeks, I'm like,
I
I
think
don't
it's
even know.
episode 7 because episode 5 just posted yesterday,
Yes.
and it's
Yeah.
all about religion. And then we have episode 6 coming. So yeah, episode 7. How do you feel? I feel like I'm so excited. Like I'm still excited about it. It doesn't feel. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, I'm excited about it. I feel like right now there's just a lot of things going
Well,
on.
yes, because you're having some big changes.
Yes, yes. And so, which we'll get into that as things progress, I think. But yeah, just a lot going on right now. And so it's just like, okay, gotta make sure like I have time for it. And then, once you go back to work,
I
then
know.
they
I'm pretty
kind
sure it
of
will
move
change.
things
Yeah.
around. And so like I'm a little worried about that. But like I mean, I'm still enjoying it. It's still fun to chit chat and um, we'll have so many more ideas to come and things to talk about. So
Yeah, I'm worried about how I'll feel going back because we'll either have to do like in the
yeah,
evening after work, or I mean, we are kind of a little bit ahead. So if we had to record on a Saturday for
yeah,
the next, anyway, we'll get that figured out. But yeah, I'm sure once I start back to work, I'm gonna be like, "Wow, this is
yeah.
hard." So I was thinking that, we've been talking about like hormones and infertility, but there is, silver lining and happy endings. And so both of us have kids. You have your son who is coming up in a few months on a first birthday. We still have some months, but
He's 9 months today. I know.
and I have a 14-year-old who will be 15 the same month as your son. So,
Yes.
um, but let's talk about labor and delivery because that is always a doozy.
And it's always different. Everybody's experience is so different.
Yes,
And
yes.
even like if you have multiple kids, like it's gonna be different.
Oh
So
yeah, for sure. So do you want to start us off?
sure, I'll
Okay.
start. I honestly didn't remember a lot of it. I know that I was basically in labor for like 3 days, but like I've kind of thrown like a lot of it away, which I think is normal. It's
Yeah.
like your body's way of like protecting you and like making you want to have more kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but luckily for me, I was able to go back through our chat because I was talking to you about it like the entire time. And so I went through it and I made notes and I was like, oh, there's things that I don't remember.
Well, I will
So,
say you labored for a long time at home, but I feel like your actual like
yeah,
delivery was really quick because I
yeah,
remember falling
yeah,
asleep and then waking up and like there's a
yeah,
picture of him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I guess we'll start. It was October 10th which I think was,
I love that you looked back through our
yeah,
chat.
it was a Thursday.
It was a Thursday.
It was a Thursday. I had like I guess, like my 38-week appointment, I
Mm-hmm.
think. And like everything was fine. She ended up checking me to see if I was dilated any. I was like half a centimeter dilated. So I was like, okay, cool. We still have
Did
You know,
she
I
do
was
a
actually
membrane sweep or no?
no,
Okay.
no, she just checked. I was supposed to go in at 39 weeks to be induced. Because of IVF,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everybody can make their own decision, but just based on research, conversations with my doctor, we felt like it was going to be safest to induce at 39 weeks. That night, though, I started having back pain. And it was really weird. Like it felt like normal back pain that I like it kind of experienced like around my period and stuff, but like it was pretty consistent and it was really weird because like in the morning, like I had back pain like all night. I was able to sleep that night. Um, but then it would like intensify every once in a while and then it would kind of go back down. So it was like a contraction in my
Mm-hmm.
back. Like I could feel it like revving up and then it would kind of go back down. It was just really weird though. Like I never experienced that. So I'm like, I have no idea what this is. I don't know if like the appointment the day before when she checked me, if that kind of like
Yeah.
started things. So I went to work
I remember
that
that.
morning
Yeah,
because
you
I
did
was like,
not last.
it was gonna be my last day. I was gonna start working from home that following Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So this was Friday. Um, but I went to work because I was like, I feel. I mean, yeah, my back hurts, but I think I'm okay. I called like the doctor just to make sure, and they were like, yeah, like I think you're fine right now. I did leave work early though, because my back really was hurting me, and I was like, if something does happen, I would rather be at home. So I
Mm-hmm.
went home because I work like 45 minutes away from
Well,
home,
and then
so I was like,
also, like,
I
you're
want to be home.
sitting in your desk, right? Like, it's not like
Yeah,
you can, I know when
couldn't
I'm just in
move.
pain
Like,
in general, like, I
yeah,
want to get in a comfortable
yeah,
position. Like, yeah.
yeah. But then I started having like stomach contractions that afternoon. Um, and again, have no idea what's going on.
So, what do stomach
So,
contractions feel like? Because I did not go into natural labor.
um, and this was something that I saw, and I remember saying it to you, um, was that it was like once it started really intensifying, I was like, this is pretty comparable to the period cramps
I remember
that I was like,
you
which
saying
again,
that, which
I
is bad.
had horrible period cramps. So, I mean, I would say that it's just
Okay.
really intense period cramps.
Okay.
But like you can feel it kind of like it like revs up and it's like at a peak and then it kind of slows back down and then it like goes back up and like everything like that. So, I decided to go to the hospital that afternoon. And I guess I went about 3 is what I notated. And they checked me to see if I was dilating more. At this point, I was 2 centimeters. So the day before, I was half a centimeter, and now I was
That's a
about
big growth.
yeah, I was 80 to 90% effaced. Um, and they sent me home because the
You have to be
contractions were not consistent.
4 centimeters, right? Or 3 or something like that, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there. But like my contractions weren't consistent. They were like anywhere from 5 to 12 minutes apart, even though it felt like they were pretty consistent. But whatever. Which was okay because we still didn't have the car seat installed yet. Because again, I was expecting to be induced at 39 weeks,
Yeah.
and I didn't even have my bags with me. We didn't even bring our bags. But like once I got home, the contractions like really intensified, and I was like, oh, like I
Like,
remember
this will
standing
be
in the
happening.
driveway watching like the Jake put in the car seat, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Um, we ended up going back to the hospital that night about 9 o'clock
Hmm.
again because contractions were not consistent enough, so they sent me back home. And then I did not sleep at all that night.
I remember that.
I was awake all night long, and then this is like when I started like I couldn't even really sit on the couch comfortably, so like I would sit on my like birthing ball, yoga ball, whatever it's called, and then I would go to the shower and I would stand in the shower and that would get too much, and so then I would get in the bath. I would sit in the bath for a little bit, then I would get out because that was too I started being comfortable there. Then I would go back to my birthing ball and then I'd go back to the shower and then back to the tub. I was just like rotating around the house.
Your water bill was
um
like sky high the
yeah,
next
oh
time.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I didn't even care. I was literally standing, but I was also like falling asleep while I was standing in the
Hmm.
shower. Like it was getting dangerous
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
was just like dozing off. Um, and then that morning, I dozed off between contractions, but I I mean,
It
again, they
wasn't
were happy.
restful
It
sleep, or yeah.
wasn't at all. Yeah, I was just exhausted and my eyes were closing because I couldn't keep them open anymore. So that happened kind of all that day. We went back to the hospital. This was
Saturday.
that Saturday at this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Saturday. We went back about 7 that evening. Um, and this is when I started getting uh, really discouraged because they told me this could possibly be an all week thing. I
I
was like,
remember that.
I'm not sleeping. I cannot do this all week. Like, y'all keep telling me that I'm gonna know when it's like time, but I'm like, I'm in pain. I'm not sleeping. Like, I literally cannot do this for a week. Like, there's no way. And so I started crying because I was like, I'm not sleeping. I need something. So they ended up giving me a shot in my thigh, which freaking hurt. It was a thick needle. Um, it was supposed to help me relax and to sleep. Um, I slept for about 2.5 hours that night.
I mean, that's better than nothing.
I guess, but I've been up for over 30 hours at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2.5 hours that night. And then the next day was Sunday. Um, they're like, you just gotta try moving. And I'm like, I can't move because I'm in pain. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't sit still. I can't move. I don't know what to do. And so I tried to go on a walk and like did like the curb walking. I
Mm.
made it down to the corner, which
It's
I'm
not
the
very
second
far from your
house.
house. Yeah.
I'm the second house on the street, so it's not very far. I tried it. I was like, I can't do it, Jake. I gotta go back. um, and then this is something I kind of mentioned it when we were talking about. I guess I don't know if it was last episode or if it was when we were talking about your journey, but how I messaged you and I felt kind of bad because you were going through a lot at the time, and so I took a screenshot, so
Oh
I wanted to
no.
read.
Is it bad?
No, I said, thanks for being here for me. I know you're going through a lot. And you said, it's okay, really. Not gonna lie, I'm super, super happy for y'all and super sad for us. But being here for you is able to help me redirect my dark thought Googling. It makes me realize there's a purpose for all this and our time will still come. I wouldn't be anywhere but here for you. If we lived in the same town, I'd be at your house even. That's what friends do always.
Oh my god, why you have to make me cry? This is not supposed to be an episode I cried at. Damn it, Haley.
I just thought it was so sweet and that we just talked about it, and so I just wanted to.
It's
I was like, oh,
true
I have
though.
to
You
read
know, it's funny
this.
that you read that because I had therapy last week. And I was talking to my therapist, and she said something at the end that was so profound that I was like, man, I wish we had that for our religion talk. But she said, try changing your thought about why is this happening to me and change it to why is this happening for me. So, oh, why you gotta make me
Sorry.
cry?
Sorry,
Well, I meant
I read it last
every
night.
single.
Yeah,
I
I
meant all
know.
of that. There was nowhere else I would rather be. It
I know.
never entered my mind to have it be too much or to not be there because there was a reason, and I needed to be there for you, and I needed to
Yeah,
need to be there for you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So I just wanted to read it because
well,
I was like,
thank
oh, I
you.
was like, I just remember feeling so sad and like bad for just like constantly talking about this, knowing what you're going through. But
And I
I
was
just
crying the
really
entire time I
appreciate,
texted
yeah,
that. Just
I just really appreciated you being there for me because I really needed you. So
oh, thank you.
I just wanted to read that. Um, and then let's see. And then so that night again, I didn't again. I slept. I guess I slept for 2.5 hours, but then I was awake. And then I was letting Jake sleep because there's no reason that both of us
Hmm.
need to be awake, especially like one of us needs to be getting
Yeah,
sleep because we're about to probably not have sleep. So, but I woke him up about 6:30 in the morning, and I was like, I cannot do this alone anymore. I was like, I need you. And
no.
so he ran me a bath. I got in the bath, and he like sat on the ground next to the bath, and like I kind of dozed off a little bit. So he like I just needed him to be next to me and like be awake. I was
Yeah,
like, I can't.
yeah,
I like my mental health was like going down at this
yes,
point.
yeah.
So I didn't go to the hospital that day. I just stuck with it at home. So this was Sunday. I did try. I don't remember what the exact name. I think it's like called Mile Circuit or something like that. It's like some stretches you do, and people say like, within a few hours our water breaks, and I was like, okay, I'll try this just to kind of get some movement going. Um, I was having a lot of back pain because he was sunny side up. And
Which
so
is
this was
head
also
down. It's head down, but butt is
head
up.
down, but no, he's like facing up, like so he's facing my stomach. So usually they're
Okay.
supposed to be like face down when they come out. That's like the easiest. So he was
Okay.
facing
Okay.
up,
Okay.
and so this was also supposed to kind of help hopefully get him into place, because that's why I was having a lot of the back pain because he
Yeah.
was sunny side up. So I tried that. Did it help? I don't know. My water didn't break, so I don't know, but I was trying whatever. And so again, um, that was Sunday night. No sleep again. So this was Monday. um, my contractions kind of stopped for about an hour around 12.
Okay.
And so I was able to get about an hour of sleep that afternoon. Um, and then I had my next doctor appointment that day. I guess that would have been I think, okay, so that would have been my 38th week appointment. My other one was probably my 37th. Um, and so I was like, I'm just trying to make it
To that appointment.
to my doctor because I was going in on the weekend, my doctor wasn't there. So like I wasn't seeing a doctor. I was only seeing nurses. They were calling the doctor on call to get information from them. Um, and so I was like, I just need to see my doctor.
Yeah.
And so my feet were so swollen.
I
I
remember
couldn't
you
even
sending me that
It was
picture.
like the first time that they ever did that, and like I couldn't even put my shoes on. At this point I felt like my pelvis was literally ripping open every contraction. But I made it to the appointment at about 2:30, and I was dilated to a 4. So I was
So your pelvis really
finally,
was ripping open.
yes, yes, I was finally ready to be admitted. So I got admitted. Um, I got, they were gonna start pitocin, and I was like, can I please have the epidural when you do that? Because I know like once you start pitocin, like things get really intense really fast. And I was like, and I've also been doing this for 3 days. Please give me
Yeah.
the epidural. So about 5:30, they gave me the epidural, pitocin. They broke my water, and then I was at 6 centimeters. I took the most glorious epidural nap ever. I don't even know how long it was, but
An
it was
epidural.
glorious.
I've never heard
Yes.
it called that. I love that.
It was glorious. So they did that about 5:30. At 7:30, I was dilated to 7 to 8, 8:15, 8 to 9. At 8:50, 9 centimeters, and he was born at 9:34. About 15 minutes of pushing. So those 3 days of contractions really were doing something because I barely had to push.
And I
So,
remember going back to me saying I had fallen asleep and then he was born. Yes, I fell asleep like
literally, he
between
was
8 and
born
9
in like
because
15 minutes.
I had been up like checking
Yes.
messages all weekend before with you. I mean, I still got more sleep than you did. So
Yeah.
so I know how tired I can imagine how
Yes.
tired you were because I was
Yes.
exhausted too.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to share one more screenshot.
Oh no.
Um, and this was something I said. I said, honestly, I know the last few days were rough, but the experience once we got admitted seemed to work out perfectly. I'm really proud of my body after infertility and everything that has been a struggle up to this point. And so
And that was huge
I just
for me to
remember
hear you
feeling that.
say. Yeah.
I just remember because like, and I've talked about like, I just felt like my body had failed me so much up to this point, and yeah, those through days were rough, but like once things got going, my body like knew what to do.
Yeah.
And I just remember like a lot of like the sadness about myself kind of washed away in that moment. And so yeah.
And that was huge for me to hear because I remember, through infertility and IVF and, my body doesn't work, my body's not, those comments from you and saying the wrong thing, right? But being like, no, it just needs a little bit of help. And then, when you were pregnant and I miscarried, the comment that I made that I meant one way and it came off the wrong way was, but because we're talking more again about your body not working, but you're pregnant, like it is starting to work. And just wanting to get you to have that positive image of yourself as a mom, and your body knew how to be a mom, because you were so hard on yourself, rightfully so. Like, I'm not saying you were wrong in that, but
Yeah.
it broke my heart every time I heard you say it, because I'm like, oh, I want her to see that there's still so much potential there. And so
Yeah.
it felt like a full circle kind of
Yeah.
perfect closure when you said that. I'm like, and there it is. She finally
Yes.
sees what I saw.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of a quick breakdown. I mean, there was a lot of tears and
Oh, I'm sure.
pain involved, but I mean,
How did
it.
Jake
I mean,
handle like
he was
actual
able.
labor?
He was pretty calm
Okay.
throughout a lot of it. He didn't know, like, during the 3 days, he didn't know what to do to help, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know what I need you to do either. Like, he was like running to go get us food and like being there as much as he could, but it was like, but other than that, I mean, he, like, we did the epidural, and like, he's incredibly afraid of needles or anything like that. So like, he was really good support during the epidural and everything like that. So yeah,
Oh,
he's a good partner through it all.
that's awesome. That the Your laboring at home was rough, but that sounds like a really
Yeah,
good kind of delivery.
yeah, yeah. It was really. I'm a little nervous that if there is the next one, they're just gonna fall out. But
I mean, I've heard of that. Not
yeah,
falling out, but the
so
labor's really quick with the. Because I mean, I
yeah,
will say for that being your first, that was a fairly
yeah,
quick labor,
yeah. I
especially
mean,
the
I
delivery
remember
part.
the nurse being like, like one of the times when we went, I was only like 2 centimeters. She's like, it's good that you're 2 centimeters. Like a lot of times when people have their first baby, they come in to be induced at 0. Like you're already progressing further than most people. So, but yeah, so that's
There goes my dog.
my story. Yeah. You
Sorry, if I close the
wanna?
door, it gets too hot in here.
How was
Um,
yours? I know yours was quite different.
so my delivery was not as pleasant as that. So, I've talked a little bit about it, but my entire pregnancy, I was sick, all day, every day. Had anti-nausea medicine that I had to take daily to even function. Um, and I mean, this was almost 15 years ago, so I don't remember exact like how far along I was. I know Bella was due mid-October, and probably the end of August, maybe the beginning. No, I mean end of September, maybe the beginning of. No, I guess it was the end of September. I ended up in the hospital in labor and delivery. I had a UTI, and it was causing a lot of pain that was causing contractions. So I was in the hospital to get that under control for a few days. And I was on IV fluid, and I left the hospital weighing 25 pounds more than I went in there from like
Dang,
fluid retention.
dang.
Yeah, it was awful. And went to work on I went into the hospital like on a Friday, was discharged, or Thursday, was discharged on a Sunday, went to work Monday. And I remember my principal seeing me, and she's like, are you okay to be here? I mean, I was in flip flops. I could not. And I was like, yep, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I had my next doctor's appointment on a Friday because I was at my weekly appointments by then. And so at my last appointment, my blood pressure had been high, but throughout the appointment, I sat, I rested, they did my blood pressure again, and it had gone down. So I went to my weekly, and my blood pressure was high, and they sent me to labor and delivery, and they're like, because it wouldn't go down, and they're like, we've got to see if we can get it down, or you're going to be induced now.
Yeah.
And my parents lived 4.5 hours away, and so we were there. They were able to get it down, but I was put on bed rest. And I'm like, can I go to Target? Because I was supposed to get more baby stuff. They're like, can you lay down in Target? I was like, no.
Yeah.
They're like, nope, you can't. I was like, cool. So went home Friday night. My parents loaded up and came in, drove in the middle of the night, came up Saturday morning. And I was sent home with this container. It's a 24-hour urine catch. And so you collect your urine for 24 hours. And, go from there. You send that off, and they were testing for protein levels, to see if I had protein in my urine. That got turned in on Saturday. Sunday, laying on the couch, my dad had to work Monday, and he didn't want to leave. He's like, I know I'm going to leave and you're going to have the baby. And we're like, no, it's fine. Go. So he drove home, and Monday morning, so my husband at the time, my now ex-husband, he was at work. My mom was with me. I had no hospital bag packed. We had no car seat in the car, and I get a call from my doctor, and she's like, "You're having a baby today." I was like, and then what's funny is I'd been like miserable. I'm like, I'm so ready to have this baby, and I mean, I freaked out. I'm crying.
Yeah.
And she said, "You have really high protein and white blood cells in your urine. You cannot drive yourself. You're at risk for a seizure." And I'm like, oh, like this is bad. Like I ended up having full blown preeclampsia. And she's like, "Do you have someone to drive you?" And I said, yes. So we kind of threw some stuff in. I mean, the nursery was kind of set up, but like I had a baby shower. Like there was stuff not unpacked. Threw some stuff in a suitcase. Funny story. I looked up the number for the company that my ex-husband was working at. And I called, and this guy answered, and I said, "Hey, is so-and-so there?" And he's like, "Yeah, hold on." And I hear, "Hello?" And I'm like, "Hey, it's me. Just want to let you know, the doctor called. They're inducing me today. Mom's taking me to the hospital. It was a new job. Do not take off. Don't leave yet. I'm going to be hours before we have this baby." And I hear, "Who is this?"
Oh, God.
And I'm like, "This is your wife. It's Susanne." And he's like, "I'm not married." I'm like, "Is this so-and-so?" And he's like, "That's my first name." I had called the San Antonio division of it. And the guy's like, "Dude, this lady's having a baby. I don't even have a girlfriend." So then they then they give me the right number, and I call and go through the whole spiel again. So that was fun. So my mom drives me. I lived in Leander, and I was delivering in Georgetown, so it's like a 20-30 minute drive. My mom drove me. We got checked in, got hooked in. They started Pitocin immediately, and broke my water. Yeah. And Pitocin labor, I have heard, is worse than regular labor. I don't know, because I had no labor. Like, I went from nothing to Pitocin labor. But it was rough.
That's why I wanted that.
So I did get an epidural pretty early on. And I kept not progressing. One of the times they went to go check me, I am still mortified to this day. So it was an older nurse, and they had broken my water, and she came later, I guess an hour later, to check me. And I guess Bella had like moved over the hole that they had made for my water. And so when they checked me, it moved her, and like water like shot out like up their nurse's arm. I'm like mortified.
That was one of the weirdest feelings when they broke my water.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
It was really weird. I was still not progressing the way they wanted, so they ended up doing the internal fetal monitor. Like, it's this like little coil that they put in, and like it attaches to the scalp to see if I was having what they call good contractions or bad contractions. And I was having good contractions. So they upped my Pitocin. Still not progressing the way they wanted me to. I was sitting like at a 5-6. And I mean, this is all day. So I got there probably about 11. By 11:30, they started the Pitocin, and they broke my water. Also, what I neglected to say, they also put me on anti-seizure medication because I was at risk for seizures. Well, Pitocin's kind of an upper for your labor. The anti-seizure medication is kind of a downer, so they were like counteracting each other. Yeah. And what I didn't know is the anti-seizure medication is a medication that will cross the placental barrier. So Bella was getting it as well.
And you were also still like throwing up the entire time. Right?
Yes. So I was still throwing up the entire time. So they came in, they're like, the doctor has approved us upping your Pitocin one more time. But if this doesn't do anything, we're going to have to do a C-section. And at the time, I was so not wanting a C-section. And I look back now, and I should have just been like, do the C-section. And I really think they should have. So they did the Pitocin one more time, and it made me so sick. So sick. And so I'm like, I can't feel anything waist down, so I'm like not even fully sitting up, and I'm trying to throw up in this like vomit bag. And I have my mom's there, my husband at the time's there, his sister's there, his mom's there, because like they had all come to see me.
Yeah.
And so everyone left, and they're like, we're going to check you one more time. And they try not to check you very often because of infection.
Yeah.
But this was like 15 to 20 minutes after my last check. And they're like, sometimes when you throw up, like it contracts your body.
Yeah.
And it did. I think I was like at 8 or 9 centimeters. They're like, okay, we're going to get you ready to start pushing. At 11:50 p.m. is when I started pushing with my daughter. And we realized my epidural was not working all the way.
Oh no. That was one of my biggest fears.
So it was working enough. What I had, it's called a hot spot. And it's basically where the epidural is working everywhere but that one spot. Well, that one spot, like if in my head, the way I imagined it is like the top of my pubic bone. It was like the size of a quarter, like right there.
Yeah.
So like every contraction I could feel, pushing I could feel just in that area, nowhere else, but just in that area.
Yeah.
And I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing. And I was exhausted. And I remember at one point the doctor's like, you don't have to push through the next one. But it hurt so much because of that hot spot.
Yeah.
That I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Noting, I knew it was 11:50 when I started pushing because there's my hospital bed, there's a wall in front of me with a TV,
Clock.
and directly above it is a clock.
Yeah.
Why you have it there, I don't know.
Yeah.
Put it over my head where I can't freaking see it. Because I could see every minute that passed.
Yeah.
And so I remember I was like, how much longer? And she's like, 30 minutes. The baby will be born, 30 minutes. And I remember asking again, and she said that again. And I was like, you said that an hour ago. And she turned around, she's like, don't look at the clock. And I'm like, where else am I?
Move it. Yeah.
And funny thing, so my OBGYN, she had, rounds all day. And it was October 5th, which is when Bella eventually was born, was her birthday. So she was there in the middle of the night before her birthday, and I'm crying, apologizing to her for keeping her up all night the night before her birthday.
That is such a Suzanne thing. That is such a you thing to do.
That, oh yeah, 1,000%. So, pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And I remember at one point they're like she was starting to crown, so her head was starting to come out. And they're like, do you want a mirror? I'm like, God, no. Like,
I know, they asked if I wanted to touch his head. I was like, no, I don't.
So they did ask me that, and I'm like, okay, because I'd already said no to the mirror. And then I felt like a bad mom, I guess, for like, no, I don't want to see this. And so they take my hand and like, so I can feel her, and it was disgusting. Oh, like I jerked back. It was disgusting. It was absolutely awful. And so finally, after 2 hours of active pushing, so not only laboring all day, but 2 hours of active pushing, she was born at 1:50 a.m. And she had meconium, and like my water broke, and when they broke my water, there was meconium in them, so they held her up. But they wouldn't put her on my chest because she inhaled, and so they had to go suction and all that. And I remember asking who she looked like. And so when I labored, it was my mom and my husband at the time. And my mom was like, she looks like my ex's mother-in-law, but with a bobblehead. So in my head, I'm picturing this like baby with like my full-grown mother-in-law's head on there, like wiggling around. And she really did look like my ex-mother-in-law, because my ex-husband looked like my ex-mother-in-law, and she was a spitting image of my ex-husband. Yeah. But yeah, and so she was stable. I remember like she got like a 9.5 on the APGAR, like because they were telling me everything. They told me her weight, 7 pounds 7 ounces, 17 inches long. And then all of a sudden, like they're doing that, and I don't know why I didn't say anything, but my vision starts to tunnel out, and I can't see. And I guess I made a face, and the nurse or the doctor, I don't even remember, they looked over at me and they're like, are you okay? And I said, something's wrong, I don't feel right. And so they laid me down, and all this time they're like pulling my placenta out, doing uterine massages, like they're all up in my business. They took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was bottoming out. I was at 60/40. And so they shut off the Pitocin, they shut off the anti-seizure medication, oxygen masks are on me, more like harder uterine massaging, trying to get that to start to harden up because you keep bleeding. Um, and uh, after about an hour, and I just remember like knowing I needed her within an hour because I'd read all the books, right? And it's like, oh, you need to have them latch within an hour, or you have a harder time for your milk to come in. And so I'm like, the whole time again trying to look at the clock.
Yeah.
And so an hour after she was born, they got me stabilized to where they could bring her to me. And she never left the room. But I remember, they handed her to my husband at the time, my ex, and he came over to hand her to me, and I couldn't move my arms. And so, like, he goes to hand her to me, and my arms are, like, there, and I just remember whispering, because I didn't want them to hear, because I didn't want them to take her away. I just remember saying, don't move, because I can't move my arms, because I was just so weak. And there's a picture in her baby book that I made. There's a picture that my mom snapped right after she was born when they did hold her up next to me. And an hour later when I'm holding her, and when I say I was like gray, gray. So that was really scary. Yeah. Because I didn't know what was happening, and I still don't fully know what was happening. I think from what I've read, it's common that can happen with really bad cases of preeclampsia. So like I took the initiative, like I sought out a cardiologist about a year after Bella was born, just to make sure like I didn't have any heart damage or anything like that. Because I mean, that's really low for your blood pressure. And then she was born, and my mom went home, and everyone left, and her dad fell asleep on the couch, and I'm wired, like wide awake, like.
Yep. All the adrenaline.
What do I do now?
I know after those few days of no sleep, like once he was here, I was like, man, I feel great right now. Like all of the adrenaline. I was like,
yeah. Oh yeah, it makes you like
and
feel
then
not tired at all.
Later, I was like, I don't feel great now.
And so yeah, now and the one thing that happened after all of that was, and this is where I learned about the anti-seizure medication, is Bella slept for almost 24 hours. Like she just slept. So we couldn't get her to latch. And we had the lactation consultants come in. Like I remember they would get a cold washcloth and they'd put it on her back and she'd scream, and I'd shove my boob in her mouth. And so I was like hand expressing and like putting droplets in her mouth while she slept. And it was because of that, the anti-seizure medication. It made her really sleepy. So she did end up with jaundice. So I got discharged after, I guess, a day or two, because it was a vaginal birth. So like they're like, okay, peace out, bye. But she didn't get discharged. But what my hospital did is they just took my room, like for insurance purposes, and put it in her name. So I didn't have to leave. I got to stay there, stay in bed with her, while she had 2 days of treatment for jaundice. So that was nice.
That's nice. Yeah.
So yeah, so I didn't know, like that was hard for me, like when you were going through like pre-labor, right? Like I didn't know how to help because I didn't experience any of that. So I never experienced like the natural fall. And realistically, if we get pregnant again, whether it's through IVF or naturally, I probably won't then, because now I'm a geriatric patient and there's more of a push for C-section, which what's funny is when I got pregnant the second time, not even the second time, when we lost the baby, our first baby, and I started with my new OBGYN and I was giving my whole history, I'm like, if I'm preeclampsia, like if I have any of this, I do not want to be induced. Like this is what all happened. I don't want to redo this. And they're like, well, typically if you have preeclampsia, your first pregnancy, you won't have it your second. And then they said, it's the same father, right? And I said, no. And they're like, oh, never mind. And I'm like, yay.
Interesting.
So they did tell me, that's why I take baby aspirin. So they're like, start taking baby aspirin now. That helps. And then I do have like this microscopic blood clotting thing that microscopic blood clots can build in your uterus, which can cause miscarriage. So aspirin takes care of that anyway. But yeah, so it will be interesting if we have another baby, what labor would look like for that. Yeah. Like not another baby. If Scott and I have a baby of our own, what it would look like.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I didn't realize that the preeclampsia was, I guess it's interesting that it like depends on the like if you have different fathers. Like
Yeah, I
that's
don't. She didn't
weird.
explain
I wonder
why.
why.
I don't know. I don't know if like it's the gene. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't even know what
weird.
caused it. I just know I had it real bad.
Yeah,
Real bad. Like I mean, Bella was born. She was born and I went home and I'm a glutton, so I weighed myself and I had lost like 30 pounds from when I went to, and I mean, because it was fluid. It was all fluid.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's funny because, like, most people, like, when you see on, like, Instagram or whatever, and they're like, oh, just had the baby, and, like, they still have, like, a little bit of a baby bump. I didn't. Like, it was just,
yeah,
and it was because,
yeah,
but what's funny is, I never had any, like, stretch marks, like, the purpley stretch marks. So I just didn't think I was getting stretch marks. And then I remember my, my ex had left and my mom was with me and it was my first shower and I got up to go shower and I took my clothes off and I look in the mirror and there's just white, like, tiger claw marks. And I was like,
yeah,
oh my gosh. And my mom's like, what? And I'm like, it looks like I was just ripped. And I wasn't prepared
yeah.
for it because I didn't have any of, like, the purple
Right,
stretch marks.
right.
But yeah. And I remember, uh, because I had the epidural and then the anti-seizure medication and all that, I had to have a catheter, which I hate
Yeah,
catheters. I
yeah.
hate them. Which when you have your epidural, you don't feel it. It's like, cool, fine,
Feel it.
whatever.
Yeah,
But as the epidural started wearing off, I could feel it. I'm like, I want this out. And they
yeah.
normally don't take it out right away. And so the nurse was like, okay, we'll take it out. But if you don't urinate in 8 hours, we have to put it back in. I'm like, cool.
That's interesting because I think they took mine out pretty quick. Like once
Did
they
they?
stopped the epidural medications, like doing that, they like immediately took it out so that I wouldn't
Okay. They
feel
may have
it.
changed it. I just remember the nurse was
Yeah,
like, but she took it out.
yeah,
So about a few hours later, I have feelings. She's like, let's try to go to the bathroom. She helps me in, like, nothing. She's like, okay, I'm coming back in however many hours. And she came back right then, like right when she was going to. And she walked me, and I'm sitting on the toilet, and I'm like, I'm not getting that thing back in. Like,
yeah,
because they put it in
yeah.
pre-epidural. And, like,
Oh, they put mine in with the epidural,
no,
so like
because
I
I
had
was
to
on
go
the
in.
anti-seizure medication. They put it in immediately.
Oh,
So, like, when I got my epidural, I had to scoot to the edge of the
oh
bed,
my
and, like, I'm
God.
like, I'm gonna pull it out. They're like, no, you're not. I'm like, and they're like, further to that. I'm like,
Yeah,
and I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I don't feel, you're swollen. Don't
yeah.
feel anything, but I can hear that I'm going to the bathroom.
That,
And I just remember screaming, I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm peeing. And she's like, okay.
yeah. I remember like they told me like once they stopped the epidural, they're like, you'll probably start getting feeling in the next hour. I was in that room for like 4 hours. They were like, you must have gotten a really good epidural. I was like, I know I did because I didn't feel
Nice.
anything.
Oh no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably about an hour and
Yeah,
yep, I could
yeah,
feel and move my legs and
yeah,
so yeah, having the delivery I had and the health issues I had was one of the factors when I decided not to have any more kids. There were other factors, that's a different
yeah,
story. But
yeah.
yeah,
It's scary.
it
That's
is. It is. And
really
so like I've
scary.
been
Your
real
life is
open
being threatened.
with Scott about what I went through and things like that. And it's funny because I've asked Scott, I'm like if we have a natural delivery, do you want to like watch? He's like, nope. I'm like,
See,
okay.
Jake didn't want to either, but he did. So,
Yeah. I'm like, well, you're holding my leg, so
yeah,
he's like, I'll look the other way. I'm like, okay.
yeah.
So yeah. So did you have a birthing plan? Because like that wasn't a big thing, or I just didn't know about it when I was pregnant. Like I didn't have I wanted an epidural and I wanted to have a baby.
Yeah, I had the birthing plan, but there wasn't really like the way it kind of happened. I don't feel like there were things that happened unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Like I knew I was gonna be I knew I wanted an epidural, but like there was no problems with getting him out, so there wasn't like any like they weren't having to use like tools or anything like that. Um, I think my biggest thing was I didn't want anybody to come see us at the hospital, like no family or anything. I just wanted like let me figure this out the next couple days and let me get home
Mm-hmm.
and get a little like figure out what's going on at home for a couple of days, and then people can start coming. That was kind of like my big like no no people. But other than
Hey, that's
that, like
awesome.
I had the birthing plan all filled out. I don't even think I brought it with me to the hospital. At this point, I was done. I was like, I don't
You're like,
care at this
whatever it
point.
takes to get this baby
Get
out, I'm
this
done.
baby out of me. So, but yeah, it's like a big thing now to have like a birthing plan. But
How did you feel
I did
postpartum,
want,
like with hormones and
yeah, like I said, the first couple days it felt great. I was like, this is awesome.
like I'm a rock
Um,
star?
I cried every single day for probably 2 weeks.
Oh,
I had some pretty intense nightmares.
okay. I didn't
Of
know
things.
that.
Um, yeah, so that was kind of hard. Like, yeah, I still have like I can still see some of the images from some of those
Oh, that's
nightmares.
hard.
Um, but after like the first couple of weeks, things kind of started balancing out. I didn't really experience like the postpartum depression or anything, thankfully. Things kind of regulated after that. I mean, I was exhausted. I remember my parents came. They came twice. They came like that first weekend after he was born, and then they came the next weekend also. I remember that second weekend, just like I looked like a ghost of myself. Like I was so skinny. I weighed less than I did pre-pregnancy. So like I felt like my face was like sunken in some, and
Oh,
I was just exhausted. Like my face just looked not anything like it does. But other than that, I did pretty okay. Did you experience anything?
I had some like other personal stuff issues during
Yeah.
like my postpartum that played a factor. But I really didn't have like too bad of postpartum depression until I went back to work because I had to go back at 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
really rough because, my routine is I would come home from work and I'd take a bath and relax and have time to myself. And I wanted that still, but I had this little human and I wanted
Yeah.
to spend time with her. And I was really lucky my mom moved in with us. And so, like, she was who was taking care of her. But,
Yeah.
I'd get back and she's like, well, here you go. And it's,
Right.
I had been pumping all day at work and then nursing at home and she wasn't sleeping through the night and, all the things. And so I really struggled, with that plus some personal things that were going on that had started about
Yeah.
when Bella was about 4 weeks. So I did struggle with that. It wasn't really bad. I think I was lucky because my mom kind of caught that it was happening and was like, hey, you need,
To go to the doctor.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I went and I mean, I didn't need any medication. And so there were a couple times where, um, like my mom would keep her through one feeding at night. Um, which in
Yeah.
theory sounded great, except then I'd wake up like huge and leaky
Right.
and in pain. But
I
it
mean,
it did help.
yeah, I did have a little bit anxiety because he had a lot of fluid like in his lungs after he was born. So
Hmm.
like anytime we fed him, he was just barfing it up, and
I
like
remember
it was
you talking
becoming
about
like,
that.
and
Yeah.
like I remember like having to call the nurses in because I was like, I don't know, like I'm terrified just to pick him up in general because I've never held a baby before and he's so little, and I was like, and I don't know how to like turn him to a way to like make sure it's like coming out and not like he's not gonna be like choking on it,
Hmm.
and so like bringing him home, like that was a lot of anxiety. I still have some anxiety around like his eating and stuff, and I think because of that,
Yeah.
I remember being scared to like increase the ounces that I was giving him because I was like, I don't want him to choke on this. Like, so that was I think where like I struggled, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't always think about that being like a struggle, but it definitely was like something I
Yeah.
struggled with. I still kind of struggle with like just with him eating food in general. So yeah,
So I think that is it.
yeah, yeah,
Because, those are two kind of different stories. So,
yeah, yeah.
two truths and a hormone. Do you have your two truths and a hormone?
My truth is right now we are decluttering the heck out of our home. We went and dropped off like an entire car full of stuff at Goodwill yesterday, and just like the feeling of like like the stuff is out of the house. Like it just feels good to like let it go.
Yeah.
So I've been like trying to be really harsh on myself, but on like things that are like I don't need this. Like,
Yeah.
get rid of it. So, but hopefully I have some exciting news to share over the next few weeks of the reasoning for that. My hormone is that I dropped Loden off at daycare today. I like sat him down and like I went around to the side and like waved at him. I was like, bye. And like he looked at me and like started crawling towards me and it just made me so sad, made me want to start crying. He was just so cute and I felt so bad just leaving him there. But yeah.
Well, and that is a segue into what we're going to be talking about next week is it takes a village to raise, and sometimes that
Yeah.
village looks a little bit different. My truth is, oh gosh, I don't even know. I guess my truth is today was Scott's first day back at work after a 3-week break, and I start work in 2.5 weeks, and I was really bummed because I've really gotten to enjoy just having him for 3
Yeah.
weeks. So yeah, it was a sad day, but it's okay. He'll be home soon. And then my hormone is that, kind of talking about Bella, traveling,
Yeah.
looking at colleges, the hormones of that, because I'm also, I start cycle day 1 at the end of this week. So definitely the PMS hormones are kicking in, but just all the emotions of her growing up and leaving and, knowing that each year that we get closer to that is a year less time she has to bond with any sibling that we would hopefully give her. And so there were all the feels with that, that then brought in the it's never going to happen feel, all the things.
Yeah.
So that was my hormone. But, next week I'll be in the thick of truly cycling. So we'll see what that hormone brings. So that is it for today. If you, held on and listened to our crazy birth stories, thank you. If you have not listened to any of our other episodes, hop back and check those out. They kind of really fill you in on who we are as a team doing this podcast. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook at twotruthsandahormone.com, all spelled out. And we also have a YouTube page, so you can see us talk about all this if you don't want to just listen to us. And then we're also on Spotify. And you can also email us at twotruthsandahormone at gmail.com, all spelled out. If you want to comment, have questions, have ideas for episodes, anything like that.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.